I think I need some water. I'll survive. Hi, so obviously I have my computer here with me. I've filmed this video probably like 80 times at this point, but I just couldn't really like get my thoughts into words. So I decided to like splurge everything on this Google Docs. I just wrote down all my thoughts. For this video, I'll basically be reading whatever I wrote down. I haven't read through this, so sorry if it's not like perfect. I didn't proofread it. I just finished typing it, so it's not edited. There's kind of gonna be a lot of rambling in this, but you know, I'm just gonna read it. Here we go.
Also, just so you know, in this entire video, I will literally be illiterate. Like, I don't know why, but I couldn't speak today, because that's when I filmed it. I filmed it today, and I'm editing it today. But like, I literally cannot speak, so please do not bully me. I can read. I just couldn't read today.
IDK. Yes, I said IDK. I typed it. Okay. IDK. I just felt the need to film this video, especially because of the times we're living in. With all this corona, the police brutalities that are being exposed on social media, and all in all, just the negative things going on in the world. Especially being in these dark times, I would have assumed everything happening would bring us closer together and help humanity realize the value of a human life. Obviously, corona originated in China, no doubt about it. And ever since it started, Asian people have been discriminated against even more than before. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Corona is not an excuse for people to be racist. It is not genetic. Not all Asian people have it. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see videos of Asian people getting spat on, beaten, and having racial slurs thrown their way. If you couldn't tell, I'm Asian. My parents are from Malaysia, but my ancestors are from China. When I was younger and people asked me where I was from, I'd used to say, oh, Flushing, New York. And then when they would ask me where I was really from, I would get so offended because how dare they assume that I was from anywhere other than America. I was born here and just as much of a citizen as anyone else. The amount of times I've heard, you're Malaysian? Where even is that? You're Chinese, but I thought you were Asian. Wait, China's in Asia? Is astounding. But as I got older and somewhat wiser, I came to realize that it was wrong of me to get offended. They didn't know better. How could they have? I mean, we were only children. We all come from different backgrounds and cultures. How they were raised may not have been how I was. So now when people ask me where I'm from, instead of being ignorant and assuming that the world revolves around me and my heritage, I've tried to be better about teaching others. My cultural identity was a battle I've fought as I've grown up and still am fighting to this day. I am too Asian to fit in with my American friends, but too whitewashed to really fit in with my Asian family back in Malaysia. Gui Lo, which is Cantonese, and Lao Wai, which is Mandarin, is what my family calls me, both roughly translated into ghost person or foreigner. My parents tell me that my culture is Chinese and Malaysian, and I always retort back with, well, I'm an American too, right? I was born here, raised here, I've got an American passport, what more could they want? In my parents' eyes, we are not a Chinese American family, we are just strictly Chinese. The first time I had ever been, called out for being a person of color was when I moved into the house I live in now. I must have been at least 6 or 7 years old and in the first grade. A boy who lived in the neighborhood rode by on his bike and good-naturedly, I think, said, "Hey, Chinese family who just moved in." And back then I thought, oh, that's so nice of him to know that we're Chinese. But now that I'm older, I realized that the comment he made was made purely out of assumptions. What if we were Korean or Japanese or Cambodian? What if we were a black family? I bet the whole neighborhood would have been talking if he had greeted us with, "Hey, black family who just moved in." Be offended or not, it's the truth. In my opinion and personal experiences, people have a way easier time being racist and discriminatory against Asians than any other races. Again, this is just my experience. I'm not saying that Black people or Hispanic people have not experienced racism and Asian people have it so much harder. I'm not, but it shouldn't be this way. No color, black, white, yellow, brown, purple, green, should ever have to go through any of that. In 5th grade, there was a girl who didn't speak English. She was from China. So me and my other friend, who could also speak Chinese, were given the job to interpret stuff for her and translate. At first, it was pretty okay, but as the year progressed, I would hear other people in my class mocking the way we spoke and imitating the language. The more I encountered that, the less time I wanted to spend with this girl who had done nothing wrong, because I was so ignorant to my own culture. I was embarrassed and ashamed to be speaking Chinese. Even now, whenever I speak to my mom in Mandarin, people will sometimes laugh or let a little giggle slip out whenever they hear us talk. And when I ask them what's so funny, they can't answer the question without an nothing and a blush creeping onto their face. Or I'll get an answer like, well, it's just that what you're saying sounds really weird and it sounds funny. Deep in my heart, I know what they're thinking, even if they don't say it out loud. Throughout elementary school and the beginning of middle school, I rarely ever brought my lunch to school because I thought it was weird and gross and smelled bad. In my mind, in order to make friends and to fit in, I would get school lunches so no one would comment on my rice, grilled fish, and bok choy. Except I couldn't escape that at home. When my neighborhood friends would come over to my house to play, I would have to eat dinner at a certain time, so my friends would sit at the table to wait for me to finish eating. It wasn't until years later in middle school when someone brought up how it was so weird and gross that you ate fish and that weird soup. That made me humiliated for ever bringing them to my house. If you know me personally, do you want to know why I always wear my glasses and say I prefer wearing them? There have been countless incidents of people commenting on my looks without glasses, but here's one I found the most memorable. One time, I took off my glasses to clean them, and my friend saw me. She was, I guess you could say, shocked at how I looked, and covered her eyes exclaiming, my eyes burn, put your glasses back on. Your eyes are so small. And so for the rest of the year, I took it as a joke and would take my glasses off to reveal my small eyes. That's why I'm self-conscious of my Asian eyes, big cheeks, and stubby nose, and I use my glasses to cover that, and to see, of course. I know I'm not the only Asian person to think about what my life would be like if I were white. If I had white features, were raised in a white household, if my parents spoke fluent English, how would my life be different? Would she have been my friend then? Would he have liked me back? How much easier, or maybe even more difficult, would my life be then? As far as I know, all my friends have never experienced translating government documents for their parents at the young age of 8, or been the one to translate at all the parent-teacher conferences in their lifetime. My white friends have never had to go to language school every weekend to learn their mother tongue. I guess it has made me more independent. Well, more independent than just being an only child. I was ashamed of my house even. The traditional decorations and the way my house looks is not a typical American home, and I hated my friends coming over because they would think the art pieces on my walls would be weird. It was a little thing really, but it was a big deal to me. It's sad, but I feel as if every Asian American has gotten the typical Asian jokes. You know, the ones where people would pull back the outer corners of their eyes and pretend to have ching-chong eyes. Or the one where kids would ask you how to say something in your language and incessantly chant it on the playground at recess. Somehow, the idea was planted in my brain that if I joke about my race first, before anyone else, it wouldn't be as bad because I'm the one poking fun at myself. So that's exactly what I've been doing for the past 15 years of my life. When people comment, "How are you so smart?" my automatic response is, "It's because I'm Asian." When people ask me, "Do you see that?" I say, "LOL." No, my eyes are too small. I've been trying to be better at not belittling myself and my own race, although I think it's okay depending on the situation, people involved, and other factors, but that's a different topic. There's also the whole stigma of Asians eating cats and dogs. Yes, some Asians decide to do that, not all of us do. It's a cultural practice that I believe should be a you do you sort of situation. Personally, I would never eat a cat or a dog, but I know that some other communities do simply because they have no other food to eat or for personal reasons. Even with all that being true, I still get jokes about me being a pet eater, and it just makes me uncomfortable. I don't recall ever speaking out about how I feel or confronting people who have said things about my ethnicity. I have always just let it slide and put it behind me and let it continue on. But now, with everything going on and the media bringing more attention and publicity to the issue of racial prejudice, I just feel like I should finally say what's on my mind. This isn't the 1800s, it's the 22nd century. I just thought as a society, we have gotten past the barrier of racial discrimination, especially because of the hundreds of thousands of soldier casualties in the Civil War and the millions of slaves who lost their lives. I feel that we should be focusing on more pressing matters such as COVID, world hunger, climate change, etc., instead of continuing this battle for equal rights that honestly should have been resolved ages ago because it's just a basic human right. In the words of Will Smith, racism is not getting worse, it's getting filmed. Over this quarantine, I've seen more videos of people of color suffering in agony and others being intolerant towards people outside of their own race. Not to mention all the stories of Asians beat for doing absolutely nothing. The little girl sobbing because ICE deported her father and left her all alone. The heart-wrenching video of George Floyd being murdered by police who used unnecessary brutality. That just barely scrapes the surface. I'm definitely not innocent in having biases and preconceived notions about people. We all have our biases, if you want to believe it or not, and it's okay. It doesn't make us bad people, it just makes us human. It's how we act on realizing that we have those prejudices that shape us as human beings. I'm not going to lie. One of the first things I notice when meeting a person is their skin color. Not because I'm a racist, but because it's just an observation. Same as noticing if someone was wearing glasses or what shirt they're wearing. I'd be lying if I said I don't see race. The key word here is see. I see it, but I don't let it sway my opinions of that person or let it define the way I treat them. All people should be treated equally and with the same respect as any other, regardless of race. Now, obviously, if someone were an axe murderer, maybe don't run up and give them a hug, but you know what I mean. Growing up Asian, Chinese, whatever you want to call it, has had its ups and downs, and that's not saying people not of color have it so easy either. We all just struggle with different things at different points of our lives, and that's just life. I'm thankful for social media too. It's not all that bad. People can share their experiences and spread positivity. We live in a world that is messed up, corrupted, prejudiced, unfair, racist, whatever you call it. But honestly, if we can somehow look past that and see all the good things our world has to offer, it doesn't seem all that bad. Hopefully this gives you some insight on what it's like growing up and being Asian in the US and gives you some idea of what I'm thinking. Obviously, we are all subject to our own opinions, and even if you don't agree with some of the things I said, that's okay because I respect your thoughts. And besides, what would the world look like if we all thought the same thing? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. My throat is really dry because I haven't had water in like 4 hours, and my butt hurts. Hopefully, you guys got where I was going with that message. Please let me know what you think about, I don't know, any of this. Just have a really good day and be nice, please.